You're listening to the Luxe Lounge Podcast, the official podcast of Urban Luxe Real Estate. And now, here are your hosts, Joe and Dave.
Hey, Dave. Time for another podcast. Number 13.
Number 13. Lucky 13.
The Luxe Lounge Podcast. I'm Joe Pascali.
Dave Westbrook.
Urban Luxe Real Estate.
Trying to sell something.
We are in Old Town Scottsdale. It's a beautiful day today. One of those rare days. You don't need air conditioning yet. It's sunny and bright and not much going on in the real estate market.
Yeah, that's probably why you're driving the Mustang today.
I was actually going to talk about some different cities today and kind of growing up in Arizona and kind of what it looked like. Because when I grew up here, I lived in Thunderbird and Scottsdale Road. Thunderbird didn't even touch Scottsdale Road yet, right by the Scottsdale Air Park. And boy, after school, we would throw some 22s on our shoulders, hop on some motorcycles, dirt bikes, get out in the desert, tear it up, shoot some stuff. And that was right where kind of Greenway, where Carolyn Commons is right now. Very different town. And realtors only worked in their little local area because the town wasn't that big.
Yeah, so I grew up right at 60th Street in Greenway, and my parents built a house that was forced to be a cul-de-sac because there was only 6 houses and then the desert for acres and acres and acres of desert.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. Not that kind of town anymore.
No, it's growing like wildfire.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very different. So the kind of experience that my kids had and the kids now, boy, night and day. Your kids are going to grow up on playing tennis and basketball and in town and lots of stuff to do. When we were kids, there was really, you had to go find your own fun.
I'm pretty sure we made forts out of like cinder blocks that we could find from houses that were being built and like any leftover wood we could find.
Yeah, we'd steal stuff all the time from the new construction sites. Constantly. We got in the desert and you'd find that random marijuana patch. Of course, we didn't know what that was when we were kids. But it's all legal now anyway, so I could talk about it. But it was very different. I mean, again, like, you know, we were told just don't shoot at the planes at the air park. You could shoot guns as much as you want. It was a really weird town. And now we have all the towns kind of connecting.
Yeah, even, I mean, you go as far north as Anthem, which is far, all the way down to, you know, you're looking at South Chandler, almost to Casa Grande, Maricopa.
Yeah, you're going to Casa Grande this week.
Yep. Well, would have been last week, I guess. On
this podcast.
Yeah.
We're one of our agents today. He's going to go door knocking in Florence. Wes is going to go do that. Good for him.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's really close to his house. He lives in Queen Creek, Santan area. And these are all towns that didn't exist, you know, a long time back in the day. And if you're a realtor, remember my mom telling me stories. She was a realtor. And we live in Scottsdale. If you went to Fountain Hills and you tried to do real estate there, or you went to Carefree Cave Creek, the agents would put glue in your lock boxes so that you couldn't put a key in there. They'd knock your signs down. They'd boycott your listing. You really couldn't do business except where you locally work because the other agents were just territorial.
Interesting. And now, you know, it's hard because, or most agents, it's really hard for them to lock down one area. You know, a lot of agents have to work where they can.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take especially a listing. We, Urban Luxe opened last month in Prescott.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So we are now in Prescott. We're looking at some Tucson stuff, and we're up in the east part of the state.
Up in the White Mountains?
White Mountains. We're licensed up there. We just sold about 6 new lots about a month ago.
Yeah, and I thought, didn't we have a hotel that we sold up there as well?
Yeah, we did do a little hotel on more of a campground lodge with individual cabins on the lake. We do have some lakes in eastern Arizona. Elevation happens real fast when you go east. So you get up on the Mogollon Rim of Payson. It gets cold up there, tons of snow. Totally different than you would think of Phoenix. But I want to talk about some of these towns that connect us now. We can start with, there's Black Canyon City, and that drops into Anthem, and that drops into New River, and that Desert Hills area, and then into Phoenix and unincorporated land.
So the Desert Hills area is an interesting one, right? There's some really, really nice houses kind of tucked back in there, but then they're surrounded by some of the stuff in New River, and it's not quite the same. I don't know.
I do a lot of business up there. So New River is really a don't tread on me kind of area. Like I want to do what I want to do, and I don't want to be able to tell me what to do. And I'm going to build it first and get the permit later kind of area. But off Carefree Highway and Central Avenue, that area right now, we call it Desert Hills area. It's booming because they're on flat acres. So a lot of people went out there for horse property before, or just to get away from everything. A lot of contractors that want to leave trucks and stuff on site needed the space to run their business out of. But now we got people building, $1.5 million, $2 million homes on there.
Well, the views are spectacular out there.
Yeah, and again, as more shopping gets built down Carefree Highway towards Carefree Cave Creek, they can get to the Starbucks and the Home Depot and the Target pretty quickly. So really, Arizona, it doesn't matter really how far you are as far as miles, it's how far you are driving. Because when I lived in LA, half an hour you didn't get anywhere. You could still see your house when you've been driving half an hour. Here you can pretty much cross town depending on what time of day.
Absolutely.
So you can live as far out. I mean, when we talk about Casa Grande, so I'm going to bring up some cities and tell me what you think. Wickenburg. What do you think of Wickenburg?
Wickenburg's been growing as well. I forget, we have an agent that lives up there, but a lot of new builds going on up there from what I know.
A lot of millionaires up there, which people wouldn't think about. If you want to go get that 5 acres and have horses or be away from the city, it closes a little early. Town does. I mean, if you want to get dinner at 9 o'clock, you better make a call to find out if they still delivering pizza at that time, because all the restaurants are closed. A little different town, but that's starting to get in, all of a sudden we're going, as we go west, and that's west of the city, we go really Phoenix, Sun City, Surprise, Whitman, Wickenburg. Now they touch.
Right.
Houses all the way across.
And then you can get from Wickenburg, take the back way, and get up into Prescott.
Yeah. So we got Congress and all that going up to Prescott. So, and all these areas getting developed. So as we're running out of, we have a lot of land, but not a lot of land for sale because the state owns most of our land. So if people out of state don't understand that, or if you're driving through Phoenix, you wonder why these big tracts aren't developed. It's because the state owns it most likely, and they just haven't sold it yet. But the contractors will come in and they'll build you a house for $500,000 starting.
I would imagine so, given where supplies are at right now.
It's funny because you look at these signs on these builders. It says from the low, and you'll see 300s, and it's marked out, and there's a 400s put over. They'll even change a sign. But construction costs. What was it? What were you looking at for plywood?
I think I saw it the other day. It was $96 a sheet for 3/4 inch plywood.
So construction costs are going to be going through the roof.
Yeah, hopefully that gets worked out here sooner than later. But
did you see the buyback program from Fulton Homes?
No.
So Fulton said if you're in contract with them right now, they had it open, I think it was this weekend or last weekend. If you're in contract right now and you want all your money back and cancel the contract, they will take your house back, give you all the money you have into it to take it back in inventory, because they're so far behind on building homes. They want some spec homes. I've never seen a builder saying, hey, you can cancel, no harm, no foul, have your money back. We're all good.
Wow, you never see that ever.
The history of my career, I never saw it.
Surprised they're not offering to buy them out of the contracts.
That's the thing. We used to do that back then during the boom. You can't do that anymore, but you could get people to buy you out of a contract. But yeah, when builders are willing to take houses back, and it's kind of anywhere. We look at some towns, like Santan really wasn't a town when I got in the industry. It became a town during the boom. We're probably starting to see that again now.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been down to Santan in a while, but I used to ride my motorcycle down there, and it was booming then. And now I think it's just 10 times over.
Yeah, and we're doing some master plan stuff, so you're going to see the Shea Homes and the Del Webbs. Del Webb famous for like anthems and Sun Cities, and they'll build an entire city complete with schools and fire departments and put the roads in and everything else. If they go into an area, they're going to put up 1,000 houses, 12,000 houses, depends on what their scope is, but they build cities. And that happens in Arizona all the time.
Yeah, well, there's definitely the space for it down there.
Yeah, and I know that Toll Brothers is going to be doing 10,000 house subdivision, and actually they're going to do that on a little lower end out the White Tanks. White Tanks, again, being far, far west by Luke Air Force Base.
Yep.
So it's kind of ridiculous. And as we go that way, let's talk about going that way, like you're going to California.
Well, look at what's been happening in Buckeye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just nonstop building all the way out to almost the 85.
Yeah. So you got Buckeye and you got Goodyear and you got the Verado subdivisions finally filling up, and they're building the customs up there now. Mm-hmm. And those lots all went into foreclosure back in the day.
Well, and even, was it via Estrella Mountain Ranch?
Estrella Mountain Ranch.
Yep. Those, I mean, that's a little far west and south, but beautiful views. A lot of people not selling out there and just staying because they like it so much.
Yeah. Oh, when we talk about views, Apache Junction. Apache Junction is the home of mobile homes. Tornadoes love that place because they just tear it up, right?
Right.
But the views are amazing. The hikes are amazing. The mountain's amazing. And now we're starting to see major custom homes being built up there.
Yeah, last time I drove out there, it was almost at sunset, and like the way the sun like reflected off those mountains is crazy.
Yeah, you get that gold canyon, and that's probably why they call it that, because that's that superstition gold, the Lost Dutchman mine, and, that Peralta Trail, all those things right there in AJ, Apache Junction. And now people recognizing that the land is fairly inexpensive. You get great views, and you can put a custom house, because where else are you going to put a big custom? And out there, you might be able to do a custom on 20 acres.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely different vibe than being in town.
Yeah. Golf course subdivision out there that's pretty inexpensive, built during the boom, all Tuscan. Again, Tuscan isn't the thing right now that's selling, more contemporaries are. But if you can get the house and you can get 9,000 square feet on 15 acres for $3 million, that's a deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're just not in town now. Dave, do you live in PV? Acre lot?
Yep.
Price for the acre, just the dirt.
Realistically, I think it's probably 1.8 if we were to list our house right now, because the house isn't worth much. But we had an offer for 1.6 a couple months ago, and I'm sure that guy would pay more now if he hasn't found something.
Oh yeah, my house has doubled. I've been there since we opened here about 4 years, doubled in 4 years.
Insane.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay that for the house. I live in it. Don't get me wrong. I love my house, honey. You did a nice job decorating it. If someone would give me that price, if I could move anywhere, but where am I going to go?
Big age-old question right now, and then we don't have a good answer each time.
So I want to kind of talk about, I've lived in some bigger cities. I've lived in Chicago and LA and Seattle. And I found in the big cities like the LA and Chicago mainly, because Seattle had some suburbs you can move to. But in Chicago and LA, if you work downtown and you like downtown, you're probably never going to own anything. Maybe you could buy a condo if you got rich. But the condos were going for $1 million. So you just always thought, I'll be a renter my entire life. And you see that in New York. That's why they rent control, that type of stuff. Is that what's going to happen here? Because if I moved to Arizona right now with the kind of money I had when I moved here, 24 years ago, I don't know if I could afford to buy anything.
I think the people that own property somewhere else and are selling and coming in and they've got some cash are the ones that are going to make it in this market. The ones that are coming in and, can't waive appraisal, can't give, all the little extras that we need to do in these offers right now, it's going to be tough for them to buy.
But you were young when you bought your first home.
Yeah. It was one of those, if you could fog a mirror, you get a mortgage.
But how old were you when you bought that first house?
21.
Do you think a 21-year-old could afford a house now?
No, I don't.
They'd be renting for a while.
Well, not that you could. Interest rates are a lot lower. So the payment might be similar. Maybe a little bit more, but people are making more money now too, than they were when I bought that, I guess, 20 years ago.
So, but if you're talking about, let's say, a first-time home buyer average doing an FHA loan, 3.5% down, you're really not going to get anything for less than $350, right? They're just the cheap as the cheap.
Yeah, or just not be in an area that you'd really want to live in.
Yeah, but if you want to be anywhere close to probably work, you'd be $350 for the smallest house, $450 for a reasonable.
Well, we just sold that townhouse this weekend that was 1,600 square feet that Errol did, and they got $440,000 for it.
Wow. Okay, so
Chaparral and Hayden.
do the math. So now you're down. Your 3.5% down is, yeah. So you're
cap you around like a $365 purchase price.
Okay, yeah. So if you're looking at that, you got your 3.5, you got 7. So now you got 15. You have your 3% closing costs because no one's going to give you closing costs anymore.
Right.
So now you have to have saved up about $30,000.
Correct. And when I was 21, I definitely could not have saved $30,000.
You would have had to sell your motorcycle.
I didn't get the motorcycle until after. I owned the house for a little while.
So if I don't date ever at 21, and I don't buy any beer.
Yeah, just save every dollar you make. Or go make more money.
Yeah, but most people at 21 aren't going to have 30 grand anymore. And back then, you could probably get your seller to pay your closing costs for you.
Oh, yeah, and I had a 100% loan.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now a great loan is 3.5% down with an FHA, and you got to pay private mortgage insurance. Again, I don't want to discourage any first-time home buyers, but it's a different city, and that's really kind of what I want to bring up. Was we're a very different city from our first part of our conversation of what the towns looked like when we first got here. When I grew up, when you grew up, because we grew up in actually similar areas, right down the same street, went to the same high school for a time being, years and years apart. Although I look younger than him. But then the economy of it is that no one rented it when I first got into real estate just 24 years ago, because the second you had any money, or the second you decided you're going to stay in Arizona for a long time, you would just buy something because it was cheap. It was cheaper to buy than rent.
Absolutely. I think that was, we were fortunate to be in the business then, because everybody wanted to buy. I was trying to get all my friends to buy houses when they were 21. Wish I was in real estate when I was in 21. This will kind of catapult you to that next stage in life, is if you can own a home at a young age and build all that equity.
Because you did that, right? You hip hopped from one house to another.
Yep.
Use that equity.
Yep.
And now you live in PV.
There you go.
There you go. He just built a ridiculously pretty tennis basketball court with our X logo right in the middle.
Yep.
Representing for any helicopters to drive by. Fly by. But again, for that, it's a totally different market. I want to emphasize the people that are coming in from out of state, you don't just steal Arizona anymore. You don't come in from Nebraska and say, well, I sold my house in Nebraska there for $150,000 and it had guest quarters and its own lake and 6-car garage. You're probably not going to do that here.
I don't even know where you would do that here.
Yeah.
At least for a decent budget.
Even we talk about the outside towns. I mean, I sold that little cabin up in Prescott, up in the mountains. Up there, just a really ridiculously little cabin. No garage. Kind of 3-bedroom, 3-bath. Boy, the whole thing's like 1,500 square feet. I sold that for $450.
Wow.
In about 2 days. So even the cabins now, that second home for Arizonans, for Phoenix people, if you want to go get a condo in Flagstaff and you want 3 bedrooms, you're in the $500,000 range.
Yeah. So I saw a friend of ours posted this listing up in Flagstaff, 12 acres, 3-bedroom main house, 2,500 square feet, then has a guest house with another 2 bedrooms, full horse property, covered stall, everything, covered arena, 1-1.
Wow, that's a good deal.
23 minutes from NAU.
Oh, yeah, that's Northern Arizona University and downtown Flagstaff.
Right.
And I use downtown Flagstaff. That's great. I got a couple of friends out there. Again, they're a little like us, where you can drive till you qualify. Back in the boom. Now, that term is we're kind of saturated here. You really can't just keep driving out and things get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper anymore. But in Flagstaff, you can.
Yeah, and Flagstaff's inventory has been crazy low too. You and I have been talking about that for a year or so.
Yeah, they were at one point where the entire city would only sell like one house a day, which we need to do that like a million times over.
Right.
But I love Flagstaff. I love Prescott. Sedona's beautiful. Sedona, man, takes an hour to get through an intersection.
I will not drive through Sedona on a Sunday.
No, not at all. Sedona's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but even the residents just hate being there now because of all the influx of tourists, but also the VRBO is a huge problem there.
Yeah. A lot of people going up there and partying and not being respectful to the neighbors.
Yeah. We are a very VRBO, Airbnb friendly town. Dave, you run that whole division for us.
Yep. And it's been great. I mean, all the houses are full right now, it's nice to see.
Yeah. And, even it's starting to warm up here. So we've seen a lot of our snowbirds already leaving a little early this year. But at the same breath, it's not hurting our residents or our occupancy at all.
No, and I think with the people that are still moving here, even this summer, all the short-term rentals are going to be full while people will look to buy. Oh,
that's a good idea. Yeah. And then we talk about renting. Like I did say, boy, it's hard to rent. It's hard to buy, but it's hard to rent here now too.
There's nothing. I mean, you look for an unfurnished 4-bedroom house anywhere, doesn't exist.
Really? And again, a lot of people would want to sell and then go into a rental for a while they go look, and they can't even do that.
Totally.
We do have a couple of great builders out here. I mean, I like the Cambridge ones, the Mark Taylor homes, those apartments.
They put up really nice apartments.
Beautiful stuff. Cambria, that's the one I was thinking. We've got some, really nice rentals, but they're not cheap.
No, and they keep going up, and it's been a really hard thing to gauge is how what you can get in rent for some of these houses.
Yeah. And then I guess we do have a lot of people that are obviously selling because the houses are so valuable. They're thinking, hey, I'm going to cash out, kind of know when this is going to happen. I've seen the market go up and down, especially our older clientele has been through these big waves of price increases and go, well, this time I'm going to cash out because I didn't last time. And I got kind of burned. And then they want to go into rentals, but they could be paying $3,000-$4,000 a month real easy.
Oh yeah, at least. I mean, if you want a 4-bedroom house, almost in any area, I feel like you're not getting less than $2,600.
I'm just talking about the little 2-bedroom, the new apartment buildings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you go to a new Mark Taylor with hopefully an underground parking space, if you got one space and 2 bedrooms, you're at least at $2,500 a month.
Correct.
For a small little space, maybe 900 square feet.
And that's a small 2-bedroom.
That's a small 2-bedroom. Yeah. So you are in an apartment, you're paying almost $3,000 a month just to use some covered parking. Of course, you do want to try to get covered parking in Arizona. It gets kind of warm out there. And transitioning from a house with a garage to a carport apartment is
brutal.
Mentally hard. Mentally hard.
Get out of here in the summer.
Yeah. I'm looking for some people right now, the bungalows in Tempe, and those are near impossible to find. And those are, half of them, if they weren't so cute, you tear them down.
Right.
But even, Tempe was typically college town, typically less expensive because they just want it all rented out to students. So people really didn't take a lot of care of those properties. They just kind of kept them out there, threw students in them, carpet and paint, turned over the next year. So they're not in the best condition. You can always find some deals out there, but those are few and far between. The stuff that was worth $200 last year is worth over $300 this year.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of appreciation that we've had has just been unbelievable.
So with that, what's the return on investment looking like for investment property?
Right now we're seeing you can probably easily be at 5%. Trying to get that high, maybe 5.75 to 6.25. And if you can get that, that's great.
Because we were talking 8.5 not too long ago.
Yeah. I mean, the Airbnbs were still, even up to with the 750 purchase price, you'd still be north of 10%, maybe even so still 15 to 20. The rates are just going up for those as well.
So what is that perfect purchase price to get the ROI you want?
Ideally, it's probably between 650 to 9. I mean, depending on if it needs a little bit of work or how much cash you're going to put in there. At this point, we really don't want anybody in there for more than $250,000 of their own money.
Oh, so that's significantly different. I mean, people used to say, "Hey, here's $200,000. I want to go buy a property."
Yeah, now it's closer to 253.
Okay, so and that's your down. I mean, I'm talking about people who are saying I'd cash out at 200. Yeah. I think the first investment property I bought for someone was $110,000, and it was in Greyhawk, DC Ranch.
Oh wow, they got a great deal.
Yeah, they did. I had younger legs back then, but could run around town and pick up these small little deals, and we could buy acres of land for $80,000. And it's the idea that now you're buying investment property at $800,000.
Yeah, for one property.
Yeah, because most people don't want to pay that for their personal residence.
Yeah, and that's we've got some investors. Everyone's got a different kind of way they want to work it and different returns they want to achieve. Some will be more aggressive than others, but it's just where we're at.
Yeah, the days of coming over here and buying a $250 property and renting it out and getting an 8.5% return, it's gone.
Oh yeah, long gone.
So all it does is, again, circling back around the very beginning of our conversation, as our city grows, as we mature like Chicago and New York, we're not there yet, obviously, but we're still the 5th largest city. And, it's just a different mindset on what real estate is here, not just what it costs, what it is. People are going to rent for a lot longer than they would just to start saving up for their first home. We see a lot of the younger couples waiting. They're not having children, their first child in a house. They're having it in that apartment and then moving to a house, maybe a little farther out. Typically what you see in big cities. Yeah.
It's going to be, I think it is, you're right. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. The influx of people is going to definitely take its toll on how we operate.
Yeah, if you saw an investor in San Francisco saying, I'm going to go drop $1.5 million on an investment property, that's not a big deal.
No, not at all.
But for it to come here and drop $800,000 has been kind of unheard of until now.
Correct. And now that's what we're looking for every day.
So if you want to make money, you got to spend some money.
Yeah, and invest in real estate.
Yeah, invest in real estate. As it just keeps going up, it went up today versus yesterday.
Yes, it did.
So when we comping out a house, telling our seller what the price is before we put that house on the market, you have to check the day you're putting it on the market. You have to readjust.
Yeah, and I mean the comps. If it's a nice house, the comps really don't mean much because you're going to get offers. People waive an appraisal, hard earnest money, all the things. So sky's the limit.
Yeah, and having that agent that finds it within a few minutes. If it's a part-time agent right now, they are not finding the property for you because they're gone by the time they look.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how often are we on the MLS?
Just I live and breathe it. I will literally wake up at night sweats at 3 a.m. going, I need to check one more time, see if I missed anything.
Now that's a good agent.
That's a good agent. The one that doesn't sleep. But that idea that again, like big markets, you don't hear about part-time realtors in New York and LA. They just don't make it.
Yeah, they can't.
It's just too brutal. It's just too much of a grind of 24/7. I think that's going to happen here too. I think we're going to have to weed people out. And, Urban Luxe, we've been really lucky to have some really, really good realtors. Our numbers keep surprising me in a good way every time we open the books. So congratulations, Dave.
Yep. Congratulations to you.
But we do have full-time agents here. If you are looking to find an agent here in anywhere in the Maricopa County Basin, Prescott, White Mountains, give us a call here. What's our office number?
480-359-6519.
Give us a call. We'll love to help you out. Dave, I think we're going to wrap it up for this episode.
Awesome. Well, always good to chat with you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Great. Talk to you soon.
Have great.
Thank you for listening to the Luxe Lounge Podcast, the official podcast of Urban Luxe Real Estate, located in Old Town Scottsdale, Arizona. If you'd like to support the show, please give us a 5-star review on your podcast player of choice, follow the show on Instagram, or subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you have questions for Joe and Dave, feel free to write in to luxloungepod@gmail.com. We may talk about your question on the show. If you would like to learn more about Urban Luxe Real Estate, please visit our website, urbanluxre.com, for more information. This podcast was produced by T-Door Productions. Intro music by Doug Maxwell. Outro music by Track Tribe.